Hello, my name is Ariel Marie, and I am queer. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning back into my platform. This is L of Two Cities, where I try to keep you radically entertained and radically informed. Thank you for joining me again. I am your girl, Ariel Marie, and you might notice now it's not your eyes tricking you. Skin's looking a little bit more clear. We look a little bit more professional with our setup. We had a camera upgrade. Clap it up for the camera upgrade. Look back at it. Look back at it. Look back at it. Before I went out for Sony A6000. Before we get started on this video, I'm gonna do that whole crusty ass YouTube thing where I ask you to like and subscribe because I would love for this video to impact you and your homeboys and homegirls. I know I was gone for a week. I'm so sorry about that. If you can hear in my voice, I'm still a little like a snot-nosed, sinus and congestion sounding ass voice. This week, you already know what it is. You've been waiting on it. I kept you waiting like an asshole. I'm glad that we all can agree that words mean things. Thank you so much for joining me again. We're gonna talk more about how words mean things and how actual definitions pair with real words to provide impact for real people out in this world, okay? And so words mean things, and so we're going to talk about that today. Part 2, social justice ABCs, N is for nonviolence. Okay, so this is a term we've all heard before because somebody, I won't say who, white people, love shoving this term down our throats. Nonviolence, not violence. You would think it's the easiest word to decipher. And yet, somehow, this term has been construed so much. Using nonviolence as a mechanism for systemic resistance does not mean we must protest on the sidewalks with our hands behind our backs or over our mouth. It doesn't mean that we have conversations with a smile on our face. Nonviolence does not negate human emotion, or what I like to call righteous rage. It simply means that a person or a people who choose not to utilize fighting or physical violence to enact social or political change. Often we hear this really dangerous rhetoric, especially concerning Black and brown organizers and protesters in the current political climate. We hear that protesters who take the streets, who shut down highways, who disrupt business as usual, are violent protesters or even rioters. And actually, these people shutting down your highways are nonviolent activists. Are nonviolent activists. They have chosen, as an organized body, to disrupt the conveniences of an oppressive group. They have not utilized physical force, aggression, or fighting. Marginalized people do not owe an oppressive body their peace. We do not owe the United States government our nonviolence. In fact, most of the attacks the United States has used throughout history on the bodies of Black and brown people have been incredibly violent. Stokely Carmichael, one of the founders of the Black Panther Party, once was quoted saying, "Dr. King's policy was that nonviolence would attain significant gains for Black people in the United States." His major assumption was that if you are nonviolent, if you are suffering, your opponent will see your suffering and will have a change of heart. But in order for nonviolence to work, your opponent must have a conscience. The United States has none. There's no proof that nonviolence as a political tactic works. And so why then must we respond to a system that has afforded us nothing but death and anguish and despair with peace? O is for oppression. Oppression results from a person or people's use of institutions and systems to enact privilege and power. It's a systematic exploitation of a societal group by another for that group's own benefit. Oppression is some fuck shit, if we're being quite honest. It has become insidious in Western culture. Over-policing of our neighborhoods, mass incarceration, lack of access to equitable healthcare, lack of access to equitable education, lack of access to housing, lack of access to food. Oppression permeates our lived experiences. It's a combination of classism, racism, sexism, ableism, and so many other things that affect the bodies of marginalized people, and even more so when those bodies sit at intersections, which we talked about earlier. P is for privilege. Privilege can describe the sum of advantages or the lack of disadvantages that a person or people have obtained. Let me be clear, privilege is not earned. I repeat, privilege is not earned. You do not, before you were born, do something so brilliant in the cosmos or in utero that somebody in heaven decided to make you white and cis and a man and rich. You did not earn your socioeconomic status, your race privilege, or your gender privilege. You just got it. What does this mean for you? It means we often have no way to conceptualize the lived experiences of the oppressed people around us. Because of that, it's important that privileged people do not speak over, speak for, or speak against marginalized people. My privilege of being a cis woman protects me unjustly from the experiences, the danger, and the rightful fear that many trans women who are Black live in every day. It doesn't make any sense for me to walk around with a life expectancy that extends beyond fucking 35. Like, it's okay. I'll save it for tea. Continue with the video. Privilege is simply something that all of us have in varying degrees that we must own up to, acknowledge, name, and act against. Every day, 25-8, girl. 25-8. Q is for queerness. Yeah! We get to talk about the gays. We get to talk about the gays. The gays. My titties just hit my chin. I'm done. Girl, queer is my favorite word in the world.
Hello, my name is Ariel Marine, and I'm queer.
Okay, so queer is an umbrella term. It's often used to refer to people whose sexuality and sometimes gender falls outside of what we talked about earlier. You know the word, say it with me, heteronormativity. Good job. Queerness is an umbrella term, which means that it kind of like hangs umbrella, Ella, under the queer umbrella, Ella. It is gayness. Ooh, baby, it's gayness. Queerness is an umbrella term that's often used to describe a variety of folks who transgress society's limited, very limited views of normative gender and sexuality. But queer itself is often used as a sexual marker. It has a way of being fluid and applicable in numerous contexts without being limiting. I think that it's important that we also kind of take back queer. Queer was often utilized as a slur in the 20th century, and it's a sexy ass word, like anything with a Q and you got me. The intentional like indeterminacy of queer is I think what attracts so many people to it. It's often really fluid and really like slippery and kind of like questioning in and of itself. It provides a lot of elasticity so that people who know that they are not straight and have kind of reached this like platform where they understand I am not heterosexual. I do not behave with other people in ways that are heteronormative, or behave with my partners in ways that are heteronormative. Queer gives them like this leeway to kind of like find their space inside of it. If they want to kind of whittle queer down into another more specific term, they're free to do so. We are free to do so. But queer in and of itself is both huge and infinite and magnificent and other words that I want to make up right now because I get lit about this shit. It's huge, it's big, it's macro, but it's also micro, it's also specific. I also think that queer is an enveloping umbrella word like Black is. Black is utilized as kind of like nomenclature and like euphemism and cultural application and also racial and ethnic application. Like it's huge, it envelops a lot, it covers the world, literally covers the world. And yet it's also like very like when you use the word Black, it's specific to your lived experiences. And I think that queerness and Blackness are twins in that way, and that makes, I mean, they're my two favorite words. I'm queer as fuck and I'm Black as fuck. Like, yeah. Let's move on to the next one because I'm just gonna keep rambling because I love talking about queerness. Queer power! If this video did you any good, if you learned something, share it with somebody you know, a homie, a lover, a friend, all three. I'm impartial, girl. This is LS2 Cities. I'm Ariel Marie. You can catch me out here in these streets if you can find me, girl. But until we meet again, protect your magic for me, please. You already know what I'm about to say next. Get out my house.